person asks about resume format and resume style. And they say, I've seen several trusted sources like Harvard Business Review recommend avoiding using any kind of flashy or graphical standout resume and instead using more of a clean, concise summary of your experience. And this person says, I'm more of a creative type and I'm drawn more to the graphic style resumes. What should I do? And I'll give my take on this, Matt, and then I'd love to hear yours. Most church resumes that we get, and we look at literally thousands of them every year, are almost identically the same. They're black ink on white paper. They're boring. They don't stand out. And from a church's perspective, when they post a job or when they're working with us and they get a ton of different resumes, most all of them look the same. So I kind of, far be it from me to disagree with Harvard Business Review, but I tend to think that a nicely done graphic resume with a little bit of color and a picture goes a long way in helping you make a great first impression with most churches. Now, if it's a very traditional church, maybe not, but for most churches that are in our tribe, evangelical, that's not going to hurt you at all. And actually, in my opinion, that helps you stand out with many churches. Out of 100 resumes, I would say that if there are 4 or 5 that use a more graphically appealing format, that's pretty good. So if you can go from 1 out of 100 to 1 out of 4 or 5, that doesn't hurt you in your making a first impression. That's my thought, Matt. Of course, that can be overdone too, right?
Absolutely. I think you're wrong. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Now, yeah, I think I'm okay with some of that. Here's what I would say, because I think what Todd just hit on is it can be overdone.
Absolutely.
I think you need to focus on the fundamentals. I think you need to focus on grammar. I think you need to focus on spelling. And I think you need to focus on clearly communicating what it is that you do before you get into any of the graphic touches. I'm convinced that the church is in, if you want to be crass, is in 2 different industries. It's communications and relationships. And if we can't communicate well, if we can't do relationships well, I don't know that the church is going to ultimately fulfill its mission. And I think that the resume is a huge piece of how you communicate. And so before getting trendy, before getting, graphic, doing the graphics and all that kind of stuff, you need to make sure that you're clear on what you're communicating and it's being communicated well. And then if you have the ability to do the touches, I don't think that hurts, but you want to make sure that it doesn't get in the way of it. So we had a resume a while back. I think that it was printed on an angle. And so in order for me to be able to read the resume, it looked good stylistically, but I'm not going to lie, it was annoying because I had to turn my head like this in order to be able to read it. And so I think what that did is that kind of hurt the overall presentation because it wasn't easily read. So I would say some creativity is good. Just focus on the fundamentals first, get that done, because there's a lot of the resumes that we received, a lot of them have pretty significant grammar issues, have spelling mistakes, and leave us scratching our head on what it is being communicated. So start with that before you get to the other stuff. And the other thing I think is Todd hitting on this is know your church, know the church that you're applying to. This goes back to what we just said. If it's a church where it's obvious that they put a high value on creativity and doing things that way, then absolutely go crazy. If it's a church that doesn't necessarily do that, then, it will hurt, maybe not, but it might not help. So that's my bit, Todd.
Yeah, and I think we're saying the same thing. I was not advocating that you have a pretty shiny resume and a ton of misspellings. Everything is important. And when I'm consulting with people on their resumes, I always say you've got to get the content right first. Once you've got the content right, then you can paint it up and make it really attractive looking. But until then, yeah, absolutely. You've got to make sure that your content is spot on. And going back to something we said earlier, you just need to be able to make sure that your resume is specific to the position that you're applying for. Hey, Todd Rhodes here from chemistrystaffing.com. Thanks so much for listening to this short Q&A with myself and Chemistry Staffing's Matt Steen. Hey, we want to help you however we can during your church job search. So a couple of different things that I wanted to offer you today. First of all, if you'd like to set up your free church staff profile, it's totally confidential. You can upload your resume and kind of put yourself on our radar for any new church jobs and churches that we're working with trying to fill. Either currently or in the future. You can do that. It's really easy, totally free, and again, totally confidential. You can do that at chemistrystaffing.com/profile. And if you have any questions about your search or you just want to contact Matt or myself, you can actually email me at todd.rhodes, that's RHOADES, todd.rhodes@chemistrystaffing.com. We'd be happy to help you during your search however we can and look forward to serving you.